If you're a CEO of a publicly listed company and you appear on CNBC, obviously you're talking to a mass investor audience. There's all sorts of people who will be watching your interview. The question that you need to ask yourself, though, is how many of your investors are watching and what sort of investors do you have? And that's really become one of the biggest challenges for investor relations officers, not just to treat the market as, I guess, one homogenous being, but to really be granular about who it is that owns your stock and what do you need to do to communicate effectively with them. I'm joined by Vivek Aranha, who's the Chief Executive Asia at Orient Capital. Thanks so much for making yourself available and allowing me to drag you away from lunch at the IR Magazine Conference and Awards 2012.
Happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit more about your clients and what they look for in their shareholder registry.
Sounds good. We work with a lot of companies in the Asian market, and in Singapore specifically, about 20 of the top 30 companies work with us. And what we're seeing with them is that they're really looking at becoming more strategic with the investor relations function. And that allows, and the first part of that is finding out who their investors are. Investor relations activities include non-deal roadshows, meeting investors at conferences, but the starting step is, who are my investors?
And you say strategic, what does that actually mean?
Well, I think it's to sort of identify really which markets to go to if they're doing a non-deal roadshow, and where their investment base is coming from, how it's shifted, month to month or quarter to quarter, and really making sure that their investors are getting the right information and things are cleared, clarified in terms of the messaging.
So once you know who your investors are,
right,
then what?
Well, I think it gives you right away an understanding of what's institutional versus retail. And I think at a broader level, that's something that clients always would like to know: what level is institutional, what is retail. And then the next step is really trying to figure out, have you spoken to all your investors? Do you know why they're invested in your company? Because the key is not only knowing a name of your top 5 investors, but also trying to find out really what do they like about the company, what could be concerns they might have, and making sure that the message that you're trying to get out is clear to them.
Often, Vivek, companies like yours pitch yourselves as helping to reach out to investors.
Right.
But I've got to be honest with you, in my experience, a lot of companies say they don't want to engage the retail investors. They actually need tools to keep them at bay.
Right.
Is that your experience too?
Well, I think retail is harder to communicate with, and that's why the broader sort of financial network coverages of CNBC or financial planners is a way to get out to them. But institutional investors, definitely, it's always good to connect with them directly, and that's why the companies are out there meeting with them as much as they can.
And for retail investors, is there like a secret tip that you can give us for how best and scalably, cost-effectively communicate to such a diverse range of views on retail investors?
Well, we focus mainly on institutional investors and really helping companies, assisting them with that intelligence and communicating effectively to institutional investors. I think retail investors is just about making sure that it is, the message is getting out to as many people through the broader channels, and making sure that it's as transparent as possible.
All right, thank you so much, Vivek. And we've just heard the call that the conference and the awards will resume in a couple of minutes. Meantime, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.